Hello, Internet. I'm HamsterBomb.
And I'm Zach.
And this is HITBOX, the gaming podcast where we talk about all things video games. And boy, we can't keep our stories straight anymore. We start mini-series. We do like the yearly thing. Yeah. We did the Smash Brothers thing, and we never do them back to back. We're always jumping around.
It's like a dog chasing parked cars.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, there's a new car. Oh, there's a Nissan. There's a Ford. There's a Mustang. Oh my God.
Yeah, the Model T. I want to take it apart. Let's build RC cars today. Instead, we're going to look at rocket ships, or something that's basically the super expensive version of, boy, that analogy's falling apart. So where is all the money in this industry?
Mobile games.
Mobile games.
Yep,
for better or worse. I mean, one of the first episodes I did a HITBOX with Matt, we were just talking about how mobile gaming has just completely changed in this industry. How it used to be this platform where it was kind of like the indie scene. You know, where it's very easy to publish for, not anymore. It's very easy to get the rights to something and just, like, make it work on Android and iOS. Now there's a million versions of both, especially Android. You don't know, like, do you have a Google phone or do you have a Samsung? Or, there's so many different versions, then updates go through. It's a nightmare to try and make these, so they have to make boatloads of cash to make up for it. So you can't just release Angry Birds for free on everything. No, now you have to actually release something that is designed to, this kind of incorporates another topic we had, manipulate people into extracting as much money as possible.
It's all about that cash flow, baby.
Which kind of sucks. I mean, before we even get into the real topic today, like, I miss actual mobile games.
Yeah, no, honestly, because you could actually get some really cool, like, specifically made for phone or touch device games.
Yeah.
Stuff like Cut the Rope, if anyone remembers that.
Fruit Ninja, all that. That actually, like, worked well with it, and not just, like, I ported Symphony of the Night to Android. Like, why did you do that? Like, I know that there's a bunch of cool games that are ported to a mobile platform, but I don't understand why you would want, like, have you used an analog game on a mobile device before?
I haven't. It's not that responsive in my opinion.
Yeah, and also you can't, well, when you physically hold a controller, you don't have to look at your hands, right? You know where your hands are. You can feel the buttons. It's a flat screen instead for your phone, and you are just kind of guessing, so you might overshoot where the B button is supposed to be. And you didn't press it, and that could be a life or death situation in a game.
Well, and that your fingers are taking up the screen real estate, so you might not see everything anyway.
Yeah, that's, and of course, you're blocking stuff now, so you have to move your UI, so it's a mess. There's still good stuff, though. I don't want to make it just a complete downer. Like, I played Part-Time UFO.
Yeah, how was that?
That's so good! Aww. It's made by HAL Laboratories, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it is.
Oh!
You imagine they're still making cute little one-off games, and it's just a few bucks.
Oh, that's right, because they just ported it to Switch not
so
long ago.
That's right.
Okay.
It's actually the first I heard of it. I was like, oh, really? That's a mobile game. I gotta check that out, because there's no good mobile games anymore. And I do! Yeah, it's a shame. So, the stuff that is really blowing up and taking over the market seems to be, for lack of a better term, you know how much we hate genre titles that use other games, but you know what I mean when I say a Pokemon Go-like.
Yep.
So, to be more specific, we're going to be talking today about games that are really just using the GPS to see where you are, to make a game map that is over the roads and streets of real Earth, that you can walk around and interact with whatever is in that game world's IP, and somehow make a game out of it and extract boatloads of cash out of the people who are playing it.
Yeah, it's basically like a gamified version of Google Maps.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, and it's funny you say that. I remember back in high school.
How wrong am I?
Well, no, you're totally right. I just remember you just reminded me in high school. I made Google Maps games where, like, I would challenge somebody and we'd go back and forth, and you'd say like a specific city or somewhere in the world, and then have to quickly like zoom in and figure out where it is in a set amount of time. We had to make our own fun back then. There were no games. We were excited when Line Rider came out, for crying out loud. You draw a line, little guy rides on the line. So yeah, the internet, it was in its infancy, okay? But anyway, now it's a very different place, and playing a game where you can actually in real time pull up your phone and see where you are and interact with, let's just stick with Pokemon Go, because it's the simple one. For the record, full disclosure, I have played all the games we're going to talk about today, but Zach has only played like half of them. But that doesn't really matter. I mean, I'm going to tell you like what they did with this, because you play one, you played them all. It's really
From the
for the
couple
most
I've
part.
Played, yeah.
Yeah, with Pikmin Bloom kind of being the exception, unfortunately, but we'll get there. So, yeah, we're going to talk about Pokemon Go, Pikmin Bloom, Witcher Monster Slayer. I kind of got my titles rearranged there. And Monster Hunter Now, which is one of the worst titles I've ever heard in my life.
Now
Granted,
what?
Monster Hunter World was just taken, and that would have been the one to go with. Right? I mean, that would be perfect.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, to make it even funnier, the monster list you fight in that game is just verbatim what you fight in World. Like, in order, too. So it's... which is fine. I love World. So, anyway, we'll get there when we get there, but I'm not a fan of that game. Pokemon Go. This game, I think, if you remember, they announced this way too early, and... It was like think of Pokemon Sleep, you know, and it was like the joke game that would never come out, and then it just like shadow dropped one day.
I honestly forgot Pokemon Sleep was even a thing, so...
Yeah, and Pokemon Smile was another silly one, though I do use that every day with my toddler. She loves catching Pokemon in that.
Yeah.
It's one of those games that Nintendo has kind of abandoned already, because there is Kanto Pokemon you catch, and then after that you go to the Johto Dex, you know, brushing your teeth, and you catch Pokemon if you brush your teeth well, it's basically all it is. And you finish Johto, and the game stops.
Oh, that's it?
Yeah, like, wait, so either, like...
Oh. We don't even get to Hoenn at all?
No, you don't even get to Hoenn. So I'm thinking, like, why did you even bother putting Johto in the game?
Not even Unova or anything? Like, jeez.
No, you just get there. And what's really weird, and I might be one of the only parents who gets this. Now we're getting deep into something that doesn't matter. But mobile games are strange, man. You get a few Pokemon who are exceptions to this. When you're playing Kanto, you will get Smeargle from Gen 2, Ludicolo, who, as I mentioned, Hoenn is not in here. There's a couple others that are, like, not from that gen, and Mime Jr. is one from Gen 4.
Yeah.
And you would, as your expression just explained, why on earth would they choose those?
I don't know.
I think I know why. So on the Pokemon Kids TV channel, or YouTube, there is this one skit video they do playing songs for kids. It's just Pokemon stuff. You know, trying to, you know, get in their brain and get them while they're young. And they're making a song with these puppets for Pokemon. And it is Pikachu, Ludicolo, Smeargle, and Mime Jr. And Dedenne. By the way, I forgot Dedenne. He's another one of those. But so it's a completely random assortment of Pokemon, and I remember watching it like, that's a weird setup. And those are the exact same ones you get in Pokemon Smile first. So that's my only connection. So that's it.
That makes perfect sense. I would say that would be the reason then.
Yeah, but they have a video about brushing your teeth and catching Pokemon, and they're not in it. So I don't know.
Marketing, you gotta get your plan straight, buddies.
Man, Pokemon is and this actually does kind of tie this back in. Pokemon is a media franchise that is so big. Everything is connected to each other, and even ways that don't make any sense, just like that. And that's why Pokemon Go is seen as like this outlet to release and get people excited about new stuff. So say, you know, a new Pokemon game comes out, they'll try and incorporate the new Pokemon into it quickly. They'll do whatever the new gimmick is of the generation they're representing. They did Mega Evolution when they did Kalos. You know, they did Shadow Pokemon
from Colosseum.
Yeah. Didn't quite do it the way you would expect it. I guess we'll get to that. I feel like they've implemented almost everything they could have in the wrong way. Because if you're looking at a game, exploring GPS, trying to find Pokemon in the real world, that sounds like a dream game for the child in me.
And it was for a time.
Oh, yes, yeah. It was extremely buggy. I remember a lot of problems with the game. Yeah, it's exciting when you see like a Scyther spawn, but then when my friend calls me while I'm trying to catch it, and the phone call interrupts and crashes the game, now I got a problem.
No,
that actually happened to me.
No. Here's the thing. They went for, instead of a 4-head move, it was a 5-head move. You know why? They were, you know how buggy the original Pokemon is?
My God.
They were just replicating that for worse. Pokemon Go.
I swear this is worse. It was worse. Like, all sorts of crazy bugs and glitches were happening constantly. Like, you couldn't try and, like, throw a Pokeball and catch something. The ball would just sit there forever, and you'd be like, do I leave my phone on? Do I wait, or do I reset quickly and hope that it's still there when I turn it back on?
Right.
Sometimes you couldn't sign in. It would take like 15, 20 minutes to try and sign in if your game crashed or broke, and you're trying to do like, you know, they didn't have community days, but they would still have like events and stuff, you know, a bunch of Magikarp are spawning.
So basically every other like big, always online multiplayer kind of game, just like every other one of those things, it just sounds like it was just a mess on launch.
Yeah, just like everything else, this sounds familiar. They were never prepared with what their servers should have been handling. And it was a disaster. And of course, when that happens, all hands on deck goes into trying to fix the bugs, and that's what they did.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like that should have been ironed out first, and then you should have been... Well, I know the game was delayed substantially, but still, that stuff should have been ironed out first, and then try to make the game more enjoyable. So, and that's where I think it falls apart, because yes, I think the best part of old Pokemon that we don't get in the new games, the core games, it was all about collecting and trading and trying to, like, play an RPG while you're also playing and collecting with the things that you like.
Right.
You know, it's been compared to, like, bug collecting, you know, or things like that. You're going through nature, you're finding different things, you're excited about a new thing, and you like acquire it. You can either like add it to your Pokedex, your collection, trade with friends who have completely different access to other things.
Yeah, it really plays into the psychological aspect of human nature where we want to try to collect things. It like gets into that brain of like,
give it a number, and now I want the rest.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, as soon as you say that Bulbasaur's Pokemon number 1, but I didn't choose Squirtle or Charmander.
Yeah.
And those spots are now missing in my Pokedex.
It's going to feel weird.
Yeah, I have to trade with my friends to try and have a complete game, and that's how it begins.
Yeah. See, the last mainline Pokemon game I played was Sword.
I'm so sorry.
Well, I don't know.
That'd be an interesting round 2 when we get there. We'll try and gloss over this quickly.
Yeah, but it's like, I guess where it's like, for me with stuff like Pokemon Go and eventually with later Pokemon games is that sense of collecting just feels overwhelming. Because now there's like, almost over 1,000 Pokemon at this point?
There are over 1,000.
So then I'm like, okay, which version do I have to go with in order to be able to get the ones I want?
And that's over 1,000, not counting alternate regional forms and variants and Mega Evolutions and all that stuff. This is just like the numbered one.
Yeah, no Gigantamax
and then to
versions,
right. And then to further complicate that, each game post, like, actually it was Gen 3, I think, that started this. Say you catch, I don't know, Jigglypuff, right? Okay. Pikachu, anything. Yeah. Pikachu is not number 25 in the dex anymore.
Yeah,
because now it's the Hoenn-Dex.
Exactly.
Right? And then, you do this in Sword, and you keep doing this where Pokemon who were from before are no longer their same number because you need to eventually get through the end of the game and get the national dex.
Right, yeah, the difference between the regional and
then everything shifts back over again. So, like, you think you just collected one group, and then you just got this enormous one, and I kind of get it. You don't want people to feel like it's impossible, like your game is beatable.
Right, because that's what I appreciated about looking back at it when I was playing Ruby. It's like, okay, I don't have to worry about catching all 300 or whatever it was Pokemon at the time. It's like, okay.
You couldn't.
There was only so many in Hoenn that you could get, and you couldn't go back to Johto
Gen 2.
Or
you couldn't trade.
Kanto,
That's actually why they started remaking Pokemon games at all, by the way. Because they couldn't do that trading limit. They decided to remake Red, Blue, Green, /Yellow, whatever, Gen 1. And because there were still missing Pokemon in there, they added the extra islands, like post-game, there's islands where you can catch all sorts of other stuff. That's why that's there.
Okay.
And then there were still missing ones, and you know where you get those?
Where do you get them?
Coliseum.
Of course.
So you have to buy the GameCube, for one. You have to buy Pokemon Coliseum, and then you have to buy the connector that connects your GameCube to your Game Boy Advance so you can trade Shuckle and Skarmory and Teddy Ursa, whoever, back over to your game.
And I was that kid.
I did too. That's the thing, though. This is an evolving media franchise that is only be getting more and more convoluted. We're talking about Gen 3, and we're at 9, right?
Yes.
So it's getting so nuts with how crazy it's getting with they had one little thing, and all of a sudden everything's confusing. Pokemon Go actually created its own new Pokemon, by the way. Meltan and Melmetal. They had an event for these guys. They came from that game first.
Okay.
So, and they're like, what generation do they go to? I don't know. Are they legendary from the previous one, or are they like Victini, where they go before the decks of the...
know.
Who knows? I don't understand. So it's...
I mean, because that problem just seems to kind of translate even like to a whole new game style with this GPS style game. Yeah.
Any more Pokemon, the games are secondary, and that's unfortunately what's happening, because it's all about the whole media wave that has to arrive at the same time. It's like, the ocean has to crash that wave all at the same time on the beach. It can't just like, this part gets it, and then this part over here. Like, okay, the trading card game was a little late to getting Gen 9, but the anime is just finishing up Gen 8 right now. But no, it's all got to be together.
Yep.
And that means you can't delay anything.
No, and that comes across, like we said, not only with the mainline Pokemon games, but with what we're talking about, Pokemon Go. Like you said, it just...
You can't delay anything. You have to release it as you go.
Yeah, because it almost feels not really haphazard, but just mandated from corporate, like that this needs to be included now.
Yes, and the actual releasing of new content feels extremely corporate. And it's getting more severe as time goes on.
Yeah, like, I don't want to put the entire blame on Niantic, because God knows, like, just developing a game like this that just works, that's a miracle in and of itself.
Right, and we should mention that Niantic only got to making this because they had made a previous game called Ingress. Ingress, and basically it was just a game where people... I don't know too much about it, so don't hold us to this, but for the most part it was the framework of what Pokemon Go would be, where you would walk around and you use your GPS, and you could like take pictures of locations and like kind of catalog them, and it would eventually become the Pokestop system.
Yeah. Because if I remember correct, one of my friends I think had played it or had it on his phone way back in the day, where it's like if you would walk around and like close off like a city block or something, you could claim like a territory back from like whatever has taken this world away or something like that.
Which is kind of turning into what would then be like the Pokemon Go team system that they would have over gyms.
Exactly.
So it's the same mentality, and it works. I think it translates pretty well. And honestly, I feel like if you take that groundwork, you could make a killer game. I think they kind of chose not to, or they have such a small team because Niantic is not big.
Not that big, from what I understand.
No, they're not very big. And right now, they are also making Monster Hunter now and Pikmin Bloom. That's both of them. Witcher Monster Slayer that we'll also talk about. And for the record, there are other games that do this too. There's like Jurassic Park and whatnot. We're talking about the video game adaptation ones.
The one that I'm sorely missing that I wish would have come over because knowing me and my favorite.
Guess what it is?
There was a Dragon Quest GPS game where it took like the same idea, but it turned the entire world into a Dragon Quest map.
You mean Japan?
The entire world, according to Dragon Quest, which is just Japan.
What happens if you take a Japanese phone over here?
Since it's looking for specific signals from specific providers,
certain cell towers, it's probably not.
And you'd probably get charged so much for roaming charges.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, but the whole idea is like you walk around, you play as a Dragon Quest hero, and you're actually going out and fighting monsters, and you actually play a Dragon Quest battle as you fight them. And the whole point, if I remember correct, is that you're actually supposed to try to fight bosses of certain regions, level up, get better.
Fun.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I feel like when you do this is a great framework for almost any game where you can go explore. Like Pokemon, Witcher, Monster Hunter. You know, they're great for Pikmin as well. Yeah. They're all great ideas.
Yeah, but you could make like
gotta incorporate it right.
Yeah, you could really make a really solid, no pun intended, Metal Gear Solid game probably out of that.
Metal Gear 5 proved that you can do that in open world. So you absolutely could try and find a way to infiltrate certain bases, and they have better loot or something that you want to get from, better weapons. I don't know.
See, this is already getting our imaginations kind of.
Yeah, and they already made that open system where, and this is another thing we're gonna have to get into. In order to make a game that you can basically forever play. You have to have some sort of thing, one that you can charge money for in order to spend less time doing.
There we go.
But you also can have basically infinite upgrades, micro upgrades.
Yeah.
And this is the Pikmin Bloom, very, very slowly chipping away at having more Pikmin, having their levels go up. Pokemon, you're raising their CP.
Yeah.
Monster Hunter, you upgrade. So in Monster Hunter, the vanilla game, this is the one I know you haven't played.
Yeah.
The vanilla Monster Hunter, you beat a monster and you take back its parts and you can build, say, a new sword.
Yeah.
You build that sword and you're like, okay, cool. Well, it looks like if I get its rare and a couple other parts, I can upgrade the sword and it'll max it out, right? And so you go do that and you make it stronger. And then later you find another, say it was a fire type sword, and you fight Rathalos, and you can make your fire sword even better by using his parts, right? So you do that, maybe buff it another time, so it's like a total 4 upgrades.
Yeah, it's that battle loot upgrade to fight more stronger monsters.
Saying right now, that works perfectly with this kind of game.
Yeah.
Because you want it to upgrade like that. However, of course, they want a million micro upgrades.
Yeah.
So you're giving it, 3 God Bugs and 2 Macalite Ore and 5 Rathalos Wing Talon or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And you upgrade your damage by 6. Yeah.
Or something stupid like 0.5% or something like that.
Well, that really is 0.5% with how small it is. And then, of course, get this. You upgrade something to max, and then you can overgrade it. We're kind of getting ahead of ourselves here to the Monster Hunter thing, but these are all tied together. So back to Pokemon. Let's just stick with Pokemon. It's the easiest one. So you have CP, right?
Yes.
So this is probably
the power level, right?
Yeah, and I really don't like this system at all. Pokemon Let's Go, by the way, the Switch game, actually took this system, and I don't like it. I think they took it because they wanted it to be able to trade with Pokemon Go, because Pokemon Go was so big. They wanted to release a game to draw people into the system, which makes perfect sense.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, marketing sense. That of course that's the thing to do.
It's still a cute game, and it's relatively
it's adorable.
easy.
Yeah,
and it's relatively easy to get into. Yeah,
it's kind of janky with the throwing, but aside from that, it's a very cute. Good. It's good. I'd still say it's probably the worst rendition of Gen 1 we have, counting the original, but...
Probably, yeah.
And it's still cute, but whatever. So, the CP system, instead of actually battling wild Pokemon, it is impossible to do so. Instead, you just grind catching tons of Pokemon, and when you do catch any Pokemon, you're getting a little bit of CP each time based on what evolutionary line number it is, or how hard it was to catch or something like that.
Yeah.
Right, so a Metapod gives more than a Caterpie, and a Butterfree gives more than that. So you eventually, you build this up, and you kind of use this as Stardust currency.
Yep, that's right.
And you will pay the Stardust in order to power up any Pokemon. And then you also, in addition to that, need candy, which is a new thing. Instead of just having rare candies to level up your Pokemon, for free, you have to catch 100 or so Caterpies in order to level one Caterpie up to a Metapod and a Butterfree.
Yep. Yeah, and it's like, not only do they add that, but it's like, even going with just basic Pokemon item management, you only have a certain amount of inventory space, which...
You can pay to have more, and pay to have more Pokemon space, which, in my opinion, gets particularly scummy. Every time they add a new generation, and you want to hold on to the ones that you have, but you can't do that because they didn't increase your box space to compensate for what they just gave you, and they know it. They know what they're doing.
When I played it for a while, I remember looking at the coin store or whatever. Oh
my gosh, yeah.
And I was like, okay, I want to keep a hold of my Witch's Hat Pikachu and my Santa Hat Pikachu, but there's more Pokemon out there I would like to keep.
Yeah, I had a whole collection of different Hat Pikachus and Pichus. Yeah, they were cute. Even Raichus too. And eventually, I had to toss them all because there's no space.
No.
And and of course, now we sound like the grumps who just don't want to pay for their games. I have put some money into Pokemon Go.
I never did because I didn't play it long enough to really ever get that.
Granted, it wasn't out of my pocket. It was Google survey stuff that is only Google Play. You have to spend it there anyway. Otherwise, it expires, which I also don't like. But that's another thing.
Right, but you pay to get more spaces for Pokemon. You pay for higher...
It's really you're paying to keep playing the game because if you don't have any room for Pokemon, you can't catch anything.
Which for a free-to-play game, that's the whole model they're predicated on.
Yeah, they're hoping that by the time you've filled up your box, you're hooked, and they want you to keep buying and playing more.
It's that sunk cost fallacy. You have put so much time and effort into walking around, driving around, getting all the Pokemon.
Right, they're banking on you have developed a habit of playing this, and since you have that habit in you, even if you aren't enjoying the game that much, they know you're not going to uninstall it, and they know you have a connection to what they have, whether you like it or not, because this is a psychological thing. People study this, and there's a reason that this is so effective, and the new stuff that they are putting out seems so money grubby and cheap, but people are still falling for it by the thousands, the hundreds of thousands.
I mean, it's very, to kind of tangent a little bit, but it also sounds an awful lot like those free-to-play, MMO kind of habits. Or even in...
It's the Genshin Impact kind of thing.
Yeah, because they know Star Rail, Genshin Impact, where it's you want to be able to go into this new area... well, too bad. These monsters are going to kick your butt. Why don't you take some of these free pools to get some good, better characters? You didn't get what you wanted? Well, give us $5. We'll give you 5 extra pools for an S-rank waifu or whatever.
Yeah, right.
And that's the same kind of thing that they want to do in Pokemon Go. And unfortunately, like you said, it kind of works.
It kind of works because I think the trick here is people are already attached to the IP.
Exactly. Yeah.
If this was just... Let's not even just say Digimon. Let's just say random new creatures of some sort of IP that didn't exist up to this point. Okay,
it's just,
they're miscellaneous nothings. No one would play this.
No.
This game would be ridiculed for how janky it is, how expensive it is, and how unfun it is, because you need lots of people in order to play together with you, in order to be able to beat any of the gyms or beat any of the raid battles that are above like level 2. You know,
yeah, right.
You need to be like capped at max level 40, and even still, a max level trainer with ideal maxed out Pokemon can't beat a 5-star raid by themselves. If they can, that's beyond what I have seen. Because from what I've seen, this is not a game about skill, which is another thing we need to get to.
Right.
This is a game about grinding, and it's a game about just trying to very, very incrementally, slowly make itty-bitty bits of progress to make someone get that dopamine, you know, to encourage the habit of thinking that they're doing something, they're progressing, and they're doing something, but they really aren't.
Yeah, no, it literally is microdosing dopamine to the brain. It's
yeah.
like, oh, hey, it's like, you just threw this Pokeball right enough that we made a little sparkly shine that to indicate, you're going to get more CP for
Well, it also encourages you to remember the game and pull it up when you're out at the library, or you're at your cousin's baseball game. Wherever you are, you have to think about it and pull it up, because it'll reward you for doing so. Maybe that park you're at has a different swarming Pokemon that you've not evolved yet, and now you can catch like 6 more of them so you can evolve and make the next stage. And every single time that Pokedex thing pops up and says, you got a new Pokemon, there's your dopamine.
Now, does Pokemon Go have daily login bonuses? Like, if you log in okay.
Of course it does. That's another big thing.
That's another mobile game tactic.
They added that later. Yeah, because of course it's another one of those tactics. I don't say this to try and belittle them or be rude to them. I've played Pokemon Go quite a bit, and I do enjoy it to a good extent, but I am going to call them out on trying to research how to manipulate people, because that's what they're doing in order to maximize their profit. Yes, every day if you turn your game on and you catch one Pokemon, you get a little stamp.
That's right.
Yeah, and you get little rewards for doing little itty-bitty things every day, and of course you click on that thing, gives you a reward, gives you a stamp. It's all about the itty-bitty little dopamine rushes to get somebody to habitually open the game up, and then whether or not they appreciate how expensive things are, how it is being run, they will keep doing it because they are hooked to it. This is just how our brains work.
And that's very much a free-to-play tactic for everything. Like,
and I get that for mobile, you have to get somebody to download it because they have a phone already. You might as well design it to be free and have them pay for it later. But if you're going to pay for it later, I want to pay for something that, you know, like part-time UFO. Yeah. You know, I want to know that I'm getting a quality game.
Yes, You want something a little bit more substantial or substantive to go into, like, you're actually giving us money for this? Well, then we're going to actually give you something of value.
Right, yeah. So you play a free download of Super Mario Run, and you can be disappointed, like, oh, I was expecting an actual 2D Mario game to play on my phone. That's not what this is. This is like you just put Mario on. There's tons of mobile games that do that, the constant runner kind of games. Like, why would I pay for that? And it's an outrageous price that they're asking too. So like, no. So I don't even understand. Like, I already played the little demo thing, and I can see that you are not making this product in order to make a good quality game, which is why I was so surprised to see how laboratories do that. There's others that do it too. I'm not trying to single them out.
Well, even as much flack as I sometimes give Square Enix for a lot of their boneheaded decisions at times, I will admit, it is really cool that they actually have a bunch of Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy games available on mobile. Are they the best versions? No, but
you can play it.
Yeah, if I chuck them like $15, I have another version of like Final Fantasy IV or Dragon Quest V on the go.
You don't have to hunt down a PlayStation Classic to play FF7.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so, you know, it's stuff like that I'd be more than willing to pay for, but unfortunately, that kind of product and that kind of pricing only gets such a marginal amount of money out of people in the mobile space.
Yeah, and also, the ones that you have to pay for in advance, but also me as a gamer who would be the target audience of those kind of things, I look at it and I go, oh, Final Fantasy IV. I haven't played that one yet. I want to play it. Now, this is ignoring the fact that I already own it on the Pixel
Switch,
Remaster on the Switch. Say I'm looking at it on my phone, and I don't have that. I'm like, oh, cool. I want to play Final Fantasy IV. Why would I want to download it on my phone where all of a sudden, say my phone dies next week, I don't own it anymore. It's gone. And I would have to play the game over again.
Yep, you might as well just like, oh wait, I've got Steam. I can just get the 3D remake if I wanted
and then it backs up your saves and everything, for crying out loud. Why would you play it on your phone? some people really love certain games and they want to take it with them, and I get that, but the Switch exists and it's on the Switch, so I don't know. But still, getting back to Pokemon Go and the whole the manipulation
it's
that
all
goes
just
into
so
making
interconnected. That's the problem.
Yeah, every new aspect of the game that is implemented is usually disguising something. So say people were begging for trading for the longest time, because that's another huge aspect of Pokemon. Pokemon is about collecting, battling, and trading. You couldn't battle and trade when this game came out. It was just vanilla walking around and picking stuff up. There were gyms, but I think there were gyms at the beginning, but they were bad. Basically, all the cheaters were on top. Every single gym had 6 Dragonites. It was impossible to get anywhere, and of course they're all maxed out because everyone's hacking the game. It was a mess. And they since started cracking down on that, but the damage was done. And the way that the gym systems functioned, it still didn't work, because it was effectively what the raid battles would become when they eventually implemented that. And combat, if you can call it that, is tap the screen.
Yeah, tap and then swipe every so often.
Occasionally swipe. Yeah. And sometimes you don't even have to swipe to avoid attacks, depending on what you're doing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then there's the charge attack, which really is just another button in where you're normally tapping anyway. So it's...
At least in that regard, the UI is designed around that kind of mechanic. It's not a very engaging mechanic.
But let's step back for a moment. Pokemon is a turn-based RPG.
Yes, always has.
What did Dragon Quest do?
Yeah, I see where you're coming from.
But I highly doubt you're just tapping and mashing the screen.
No, from what I understand and from screenshots I've seen, whenever you actually encountered a monster on the map, like you're saying, you're going around
you find a slime.
Tokyo.
You run into a slime.
You run into a slime in Tokyo. It actually brings up a Dragon Quest fight menu.
You're actually playing.
Magic.
You feel like you're still playing the same game.
Exactly.
So Pokemon Go, this is what I want to get back to. You're not playing Pokemon. You're playing a game with Pokemon in it.
I see.
So you are collecting stuff, and that's where it ends. There's no more connection to this. You're basically, there's a thing called a gym, but it behaves nothing like a gym in Pokemon. I mean, you beat it if it's not your color, and you get to have a badge, but the badge is meaningless because there's infinite gyms out there.
Yeah,
so do you get a reward for having badges? You get, other emblems in your little collection of badge things you collect. It says catch this many Pokemon, catch this many big Pikachus or Magikarps or whatever it is, and you did this community day and you get a little badge for that.
Yeah, you're basically just doing dailies out of World of Warcraft.
Yeah, that's all it is.
But that's the problem, though. It's how do you lengthen a game that really just even for the people who are voracious about this game?
I'll tell you how. Okay, so first, the biggest thing that this is losing from Pokemon is there is no connection or care with the Pokemon you raise. I'm going to compare this to Sword and Shield for a second.
Okay.
So in Sword and Shield, you're playing, you fight a couple of those dens and the whatever they're called, those cave things in the wild area.
Yeah,
and you get smothered in those level up candies.
Yes.
Whatever they were called. And the XP candies, right?
Yep.
And you say you keep playing for a while and you catch, I don't know, you run into a shiny Murkrow. And you're like, oh, that's really cool. I want to make a Honchkrow, but I'm too late in the game. This thing is not going to be able to make it on my team. You just dump a bunch of candy in the thing, and it's level 100 in a minute, and it's never even seen battle.
Right.
That's Pokemon Go. Because you've taken out that aspect of the joy of raising the thing. Someone doesn't... Of course, you think at the time, you're like, oh, well, I want this on my team right now. You just dump all the candy into it. You don't think... I just robbed myself of the fun of the game. The fun of the game is in going around and battling with the Pokemon and letting them grow.
Right.
If you don't have that, you don't have a Pokemon game. So Pokemon Go, it doesn't matter what you catch, you're getting Stardust, and you can throw it into anything. So, and now with there's a buddy system where you can choose one Pokemon to walk with, and they will slowly give you candy. So if you've only found one Dratini ever, you can slowly get a Dragonite by walking the candy and just giving it to him over time.
Yeah, that's what I had to do with the only Charmander I had found at one point. Yeah.
That is the closest to this connection you can build with a Pokemon, but that's really it. If you max this gauge out of leveling up their hearts and walking with them enough, they get a little badge on them. That's it.
Yeah.
Though, I mean, that's cute, but that's it. Here's an example. So say this really happened. I was at work. I went on my lunch break. I checked Pokemon Go. This is years ago, right after it came out. And there is a wild Dragonite on me. I had only caught one Dratini ever. Wild Dragonite. I'm like, oh my god, I'm throwing everything I have at this. All the raspberries, and I'm thinking this is the coolest thing ever. This is, I finally have, a connection with a Pokemon, and it's special, right?
Yeah.
And, of course, I appraise it, and I'm no joke, it is 0 in everything. It was the worst possible Dragonite. I think it was like a glitch that it should never have been that bad, but it was terrible. Oh. So now, think what happens. I have this special connection with this one Pokemon, no matter how bad its stats are.
Yeah.
I eventually, I think there actually was a Dratini Community Day or something, but I eventually counted up candy, so I made a couple others.
Yeah.
And, of course, they are way outclassing this thing. Mm-hmm. What do I do? That's the one. That's the special one. It's the one that I have the connection with. I want to be able to put the time in this one. I want to be able to send it into battle and fight other Pokemon I find. Why don't I have the choice to say, catch this Pokemon out there for its specific candy or defeat it for the Stardust?
Mm-hmm.
Make it an either or. And you're still getting your grind that way, so someone is playing the game forever. Because I get it. You want to be able to play the game indefinitely, because then you can indefinitely suck money out of the customers. Yeah. It's a free-to-play. That's what they're trying to do. But at least make the game fun. I had no connection to this thing after a while.
Right. No. Yeah, so basically what you're saying is just like, it's like your problem with it is that, as you said before, it doesn't really feel like a Pokemon game. It's just Ingress with a Pokemon skin, in essence.
Yes. Yeah. It's a Pokemon's curtain over a bunch of really scummy tactics that are just trying to trick me and get me to habitually play something thinking I'm playing Pokemon when I'm not.
Yeah, because like you said, too, it's like this is actually a really cool way to actually make a game with these mechanics that still fits the theme.
Yeah, you can totally use what's here to do it. They're not doing it, though.
Yeah, like maybe if you wanted to do, like, I don't know, maybe, like if you live in New York, maybe there could be a New York League or something. And you could, like, go around and do, like, if you have the time, if you wanted to, you could go to, like, predetermined, like, gyms or something in New York and, like, become a Pokemon master of New York or something like that.
And if people had this connection to their Pokemon, there would no longer be a problem with trading. I don't know if you know how trading works in the game, but it is terrible.
I don't remember now.
So first off, you can't trade with anybody online. You have to be standing next to them.
Okay. Oh, so like you have to have a direct connection almost. Yeah.
But sure. Whatever. Yeah. It's know how you got to be close enough to spin a Pokestop. You got to be close enough to actually like interact with this person.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, let's say and this happened. Kim never caught a Mewtwo, and I only had a couple because I was out with Matt. The only reason I was able to beat any of these raids to even get a Mewtwo, because of course that's the only way to do it. He's not just going to spawn anywhere. They're not letting you get anything that good. So, I catch a couple Mewtwo, and I want to give one to Kim, because I have multiples, and I don't need multiples. It's Mewtwo. I don't care. So I'm trying to give one to her, but it depends on what you trade somebody, and there's a cost to it. You have to pay boatloads of Stardust, not only for a new Pokemon that is not in their decks, which is kind of the point of trading, by the way. You're also paying boatloads extra if the Pokemon is legendary, if the Pokemon is shiny. All this stuff compounds, and all of a sudden, we actually had to grind 40,000 Stardust so I could give her a Mewtwo.
That ain't cool.
No, it's not cool.
Well, so it used to be that you could just, like...
It's because they're trying to put costs to everything, because it forces you to keep playing and put another value to the exchange, when the exchange should not have value. The Pokemon should have the value. I should be thinking, but that's my Mewtwo. I don't want to give it up. I shouldn't have multiple Mewtwo's is another thing.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I want to be able to find my Mewtwo and name him Psy, totally not the Korean K-pop star. And I just want him to be mine. I don't, why would I want
they've kind of done this correctly, I think. Yeah. Like, they don't all have to be in the raid battles where you can get, like, dozens of Articunos or something. Why don't we have, like, the little event things that they give us where the professor talks to you, he gives you some challenges, and you do those, and you slowly, through, like, a crappy story that you basically visual novels, tap your finger through to get through it, you eventually get given a Mew or a Celebi or a Jirachi. Why aren't they doing that with all the legendaries that are supposed to be a one-off special thing?
No idea.
I don't get it. Well, I mean, I do get it, because they're trying to... It's another thing that they can get you out there for. And one more thing, because I know we're talking way too much on Pokemon Go, but last thing I want to talk about this is shinies.
Yeah.
This would be one thing that really should keep somebody like me in the game, because I already know I have a huge problem with just wanting to check one more time. What if it's that one? But what if that's the special one? We're like, and you never know what you're standing on right now. Right now, where you sit, how do you know there's not a Charizard spawned on you at this moment?
And it could be shiny.
It could be. No, it can't. Now, here's the real BS.
Okay.
Charmander can be shiny. If you're fighting a raid battle with a Charmeleon, he can be shiny, but not if he's in the overworld. Charizard. the actual...
All of these if, ands, or buts, yeah.
Well, yes, so when they released shiny Pokemon into the game, they started with an event with Magikarps, and I remember this distinctly. I actually made a video about it. Mm-hmm. And you would go out to areas with water, find lots of Magikarps, and it was like 1 out of every 400 or something there was going to be a shiny Magikarp. So it was a really special, rare thing. 400, I know it sounds really low odds, but when you actually have to walk in real world overworld, and they're not shiny in the overworld for some stupid reason, you actually have to click on every single one and catch all of these things. Mm-hmm. And of course it takes like 400 candy, I think, to even make a Gyarados, which is another ridiculous thing. Like some Pokemon just have obscene charges to level them up for no reason. But you would have to go around and finding 400 things in real life when you're walking around like this. Sure, if you think there's a lot on you, there might be 7. You know, 7 is not 400. It's going to take a while. They've since drastically lowered that number. But still, it was just Magikarp. No one else could shine at the time. And then they thought, hey, that really got people playing in a huge surge. Why would we just make the ability for Pokemon to be shiny now? Let's go one at a time. And then they just make community days to try and get a bunch of people playing at once and make one certain Pokemon is the star of the show and it can shine. And then people come out of that, since they buffed the rate so high, they'll take pictures of their screens when they're done, and they're coming out with like 30 shinies of the same thing. And you want to save them all.
Yeah.
Are you going to delete the shiny? There's a reason why those odds are so good. It's not because they're trying to... Well, they are trying to entice you to go do it. They want to make sure that you are buying more storage, because they know you don't want to delete all those shiny Piplups you got, even though they suck. And there's only one good one, and you already leveled it up and evolved it.
This is my shiny Dunsparce. It is like many other shiny Dunsparces, but it's different because it's mine.
Yep, it is mine. Yeah, so like I caught a shiny Shuckle in there, and like Shuckle's my favorite Pokemon, and I caught a Shuckle in that, so I'm like, yeah, I'm leveling that thing up, even though it sucks and its stats are terrible. I don't care, it's mine.
No, it's your Shuckle.
Yeah, and like there's very, very few Pokemon that actually have that connection. If there was a community day event or something that had like boatloads of Shuckles and I had like 20 of them, I wouldn't care.
So basically, from what the sound of it as well, or at least what I'm getting from you, is that there's so much that they could have done, or still probably can do, with this game.
Yes, a lot needs to be retroactively there's a lot of crap that needs to be flushed out in order to structure the game into actually making it worthwhile to play. Because as of now, it is just a habit inducer. It's got nothing to do with trying to make a fun, enjoyable video game experience.
Right.
And that, I think, is going to be our segue to try and talk about the other ones really quick. Because for the most part, we kind of covered Pokemon Go. Outside of them charging like $20 to $30 for passes for people to go play at an event, sometimes in public places.
Yeah.
Yeah. Public places, and they charged you to get inside.
About that. Yeah.
Oh my god. Anyway, so Niantic, I don't understand. But the second one they did was Pikmin, and oh my god, Zach, I secretly adore Pikmin. I only recently got to review one of the Pikmin games, and boy, that was way too delayed. I love Pikmin so much.
I'm glad that you've seen the light of Pikmin. Oh, and it is so good.
It is so good,
isn't it?
Yeah, I've since beaten all of them. Well, all 4 of them, and I dabbled Hey Pikmin for whatever it's worth. But Pikmin Bloom.
Okay.
So when you think of Pikmin, you think of war and death and carnage. It's not about, oh, they're so cute, I love these cute, look at them carrying a strawberry. Oh my god, they called it a sunseed berry because they don't know what it is. Oh, that's so cute. No, it's about dying. You build up your ranks and you slowly go to war with a Bulborb, and you come out of there and you think you can kill it on time and you can't, and all of a sudden your Pikmin scatter, it turns around and bites a chunk out of 6 of them, and you watch their little ghosts fly up and they go,
and then it's nighttime.
And then it's nighttime, and you have to run back, and you can't bring the ship parts back on time, and you start freaking out. What are you going to do?
Guess those Pikmin are getting left behind to be eaten by the nightlife.
That's Pikmin.
Yep.
So when you are trying to incorporate this into a real-world GPS, whatever we call the Pokemon Go-like, this already, I'm thinking this is going to work. This is so good. You can finally do it, because there is so little to make that core game enticing. You know, similar to Pokemon, even though I feel like they screwed that up. How do you screw up Pikmin? You can't screw up Pikmin, right?
No, well, because it's
you can keep plucking infinite Pikmin, right?
Yeah.
And then and we'll jump ahead a bit, they actually do this genius way to make you kind of have a reason to collect more than just, the 8 or so different colored Pikmin in the game. I think it's 7. For some reason, the ones from Pikmin 4 are not in there yet. And each one of them can have a different, once you max their hearts out, which you do by giving them nectar, picking their flowers, and planting the flowers. We'll get to that later. You max out their hearts, and then they will go back to the place that you found their seedling from, and they will get a little souvenir that they will permanently wear, like a little article of clothing.
Oh,
and
that's right.
They're adorable little things.
They
and
are.
I love them all. And basically, it's a little Pokedex of Pikmin, and encourages you to go to the library, to go to a movie theater, and, go to a burger place. And each time, habitually check your phone and see if you can find some Pikmin there. So, I get it. That's what they're trying to do. That's fine. But they need to die. That's important to Pikmin. I love them. I don't want anything to happen to them, but that's why they have to die.
That's what makes them so precious.
Exactly. They're precious because they're so cute, and they help you, and they work together in huge numbers, and they need to be able to die.
They are insanely fragile. Yeah.
Yes, any little thing will kill them. There's a reason that they only have like one resistance or one little quirk to their species, like red resists fire.
Yeah.
Blue can breathe in water. They have those one little things because it means everything else can kill them.
Yep.
So if you accidentally, you trip off a ledge and you're in a puddle of water, all of your Pikmin are drowning but you're blue. And you better make sure you can try and get them out of there. Or you didn't realize you sent a bunch of yellow Pikmin back to your ship carrying some, new part or whatever they need, and they went over some fire geysers. And now all of them are on fire and they're dead. And the part is back there still, and you didn't even realize that happened.
Yep.
That's what the game is about. Now, I get it would be really butthurty if they let you work up and level up these Pikmin and get their souvenir, and then that particular one dies. But that should be a risk that I take personally.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think there's still a way around this. Let's just say I send a purple in to do combat with a Bulborb. There's no Bulborbs, no monsters in this game whatsoever.
No, because this one is more of a peaceful kind of a goal to coat the entire world in flowers and petals and color.
I will get back to that.
Yeah, we'll get back
Let's
to that.
just imagine there's a Bulborb you can actually fight. Instead, there's mushrooms, which is a do-nothing thing. Let's just say there's a Bulborb. I want to go fight it, and I have a purple Pikmin that I send in there in particular who gets killed, and he had some cute little pizza thing that he was carrying for his icon. And it was cute, and I want it back, and I feel bad that he's dead.
Yeah.
I should have that souvenir. Like, the souvenir didn't die. Let's just say, that just is in my inventory.
Yeah.
When I level up another purple Pikmin to get his souvenir, I should have the choice to switch what they're holding. So there's a solution.
Yeah.
There's a way to fix this. You can still have monsters, and they do go gather things. They'll go out and they'll see, like, a little Pikmin seedling, and they'll bring it to you. They see fruit, which you can turn into nectar, to feed them to turn into these flower petals, which is the real draw of the game, I guess. At least that's what they want you to do, and I don't really understand this because when I first heard this, I thought this was darling, Zach.
Yeah.
But it doesn't freaking work. So
it's too ambitious to work properly.
I think they self-sabotage it, though. I think this is intentional. They tell you when you start Pikmin Bloom, they kind of give you the idea of, you need to gather more Pikmin so they can get this fruit back to you so you can feed the nectar to them. Their flowers will sprout on their head. You collect the petals into a little bag, and then you can start planting flowers as you walk in the real world. The more you walk, the more you plant, and cover the whole world in flowers was their words.
Yep.
But in 1 week, all the flowers go away. What's the point?
The server had to reset because it was too much of a load-bearing thing.
What is the point?
I don't know, buddy.
The entire object of this game, it's not... So it becomes the Pokedex fill out the souvenir thing, because the whole core of the game is flawed.
Right, because the one thing that I thought that they were probably going to do was focus more on, collectibles. Because you know how in, Pikmin 2...
Yeah, what's up with that? Where are all the treasures?
Yeah, even if I... say I want to, go out and I'm okay, say I want to make a model spaceship and I need to find certain pieces of it.
Yeah, all the pieces of it.
1.
Yeah, there's a Gundam, like a Voltron thing you can find in Pikmin 2. Perfect example. You have to find his arm, you have to find his leg, you have to find his body, you have to find the head, you have to put all these pieces together, and you can... And actually, in Pikmin 4, whenever you get a collection of one series, it will show you what it looks like all together.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, so, why is that not here?
Yeah, maybe say after I get the rocket ship, it's maybe new pieces of a collection have opened up that you can start collecting.
Yeah,
so
why aren't we
get a spaceport or a house?
Exactly. I feel like the tutorial of this game, probably for the first 10 levels or so of the game, should have been, you've crash landed on wherever your home is, right? And this is where your spaceship is. This is another thing Kim has said. She said, I should have the right to move where my base is, because you can do that in Pikmin 3 and 4.
Yes.
Why can't I do that here? You know, like, whatever. So if I can't move my base, because then say you go on vacation and you send a Pikmin back to where they got their souvenir, all of a sudden they're running to India or something.
Yeah, like you're going all the way from California to Maine, and they have to walk
They have to run real time the whole way there to get back.
That's got to be so good for their thighs, though.
They come back a purple Pikmin no matter what.
I don't skip leg day, bro.
Oh God!
But you know, it's like, and
it's
going
like
back
the
to
problem is, like, we're coming up with these ideas without even trying to research this. Like, it's so easy to make this.
And if you wanted to fight monsters, maybe some of the rewards you could get would be like some of those treasures you could find, like the little Duracell batteries or like the doll head. Like when.
And if it's that bad that Pikmin die, just don't let them die. You know, whatever. Let's just say, like, okay, oh my gosh, over there is, like, we were just walking over this direction, but this area that has a treasure that I really want. A huge snagrit just appeared right next to us, and I have to defeat it if my Pikmin have any choice of walking with this treasure back to me, because it'll maybe say, like, a monster got in the way, you have to defeat it. There's so many things they could have done.
Yeah, they could. Well, it's like the Pikmin probably didn't die. They just had to run away. They got scared or something.
Or maybe the Pikmin do get consumed. But there are some enemies in Pikmin 2 and on, I think, where they will be inside of the creature until you defeat them. Why don't we just do that? You know, because that way, now it really could get out of hand. Say, like, you're fighting an Emperor Ballblacks or something, and it consumes, like, 100 so Pikmin of yours, and you have almost nothing left. You could break your game. You have to basically start over, build your ranks, and just find wherever that one Ballblacks is, and maybe you're not going back to that point.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's limitations, but, you know, it's like something a bit more substantial, something that would make me want to actually throw money at Pikmin.
Exactly, because right now, you can buy costumes for your Mii, you can buy flower petals. Like, why would I pay money for flower petals when they will be gone in a week?
Isn't your petal bag, don't you have limits to how much?
Yes, there's a limit to the petal bag, there's a limit to how much nectar you can hold, there's a limit to how many Pikmin you can hold, all of this. Of course, they know what to charge for.
Which could be solved with money.
And, to make it even scummier. So when the game first released, now they have marginally fixed this. You would, so you know in Pokemon Go, when you battle gyms, the enticement to do so is you will get currency, in-game currency, based on how long your Pokemon is staying in a gym. Right? So if you get knocked out, that's enticement to put a better Pokemon in there to stay, right? And of course, it never works that way. But, and your Pokemon will be stuck there forever if nobody fights that gym. I've had one Pokemon that was trapped for like a year. It happens. So if you battle these, you will get currency, so you can go to the shop and slowly earn your way up by playing for free to buy stuff from the shop without actually putting money in. And of course, they want you to feel like this is too slow. I just want this thing now. Yeah,
well, that's the tactic, or that's like the fallback excuse for a lot of free-to-play games. Like,
and always give one little thing in the shop for free a day. Just because that makes someone pull it up
your
each
daily
day.
sign-in bonus.
And the sign-in bonus is never at the top. You have to scroll down to see it.
I don't know. It's that fallback excuse where it's like, oh no, you can still earn everything you want. But it's like,
how much time is it going to take?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, didn't someone like look up like Diablo 4? Like, how long would it actually take to...
Yeah, so for Diablo Immortal, I think it said that Immortal. It was... Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It's there's so many issues with both games, it doesn't really matter at this point. Look, I'm never going to play Diablo 4 as it stands right now anyway, so I'm going to go to Path of Exile, honestly. The second game's going to be coming out for Path of Exile, which makes me happy.
The thing is, there's so many games out there.
Yeah, but it's like, you know...
These people want you to play this one game exclusively for the rest of your life, and that's the problem.
If you want to be the absolute best at... Diablo Immortal, I think it was going to cost you between like $50,000 to $100,000 or something like that.
But anyway, so my long tangent of you get money in Pokemon Go to get this currency. The way you get it in Pikmin is by planting flowers. Right. And you have to hit a certain threshold of planting so many flowers in so many steps before you start to get any money. Okay?
That's right.
Now, in the original release of Pikmin Bloom, it took ages to get a single coin. I was really into this, playing for a while. Even though I was extremely disappointed in it, I was still like, I still love Pikmin. I still hope they add this stuff later, because they added stuff to Pokemon Go that was totally, like, severely missing from what Pokemon IP is. So, like, maybe they'll do it for Pikmin. They still haven't. They've just added new costumes and stuff. So, like right now, you can do trick or treat Pikmin, and they're cute. Like it's adorable, but still, like that's not Pikmin. I want them to die, even though I don't want them to die. But that's why they need to die.
Yeah.
So anyway, you very, very slowly get this money back, and like, what's there to buy in the shop? Like, I don't care about the outfits. Like, it's really just expansions to get more Pikmin, so I could just play the game longer. Which, if that's the case, what am I working towards? And if I don't have that, then I lose the habit. If I lose the habit, I realize that the game itself is an empty shell.
Yeah, because I think you eventually had described the game as basically a pretty pedometer.
It's nothing. It's a nothing game. And at least it is like a vibe game that can make you feel good, in the kind of sense that, like, sure, Animal Crossing Pocket Camp exists, but, like, I don't want to play that. It's one of those nothing games. I'm working towards nothing. Pikmin is such an addictive kind of game to play because you're working towards something every time. You're rebuilding your ship. You're paying back your loan. You're always doing something, some greater thing that each little treasure and part you bring back in is building up to it.
Exactly. Yeah.
If that's not there, you don't have a Pikmin game. You have a game with Pikmin in it, once again.
You can't have a
goal.
That's
the refrain of the song we're going to sing today.
Yeah, because I was going to say, you can't have a goal and like a literal endpoint to an infinite game.
Exactly.
So
now I got to pick up speed here because we're running out of time already, but we've kind of covered the base of the problems.
Yeah, because that's the basic problems, like you said, kind of almost apply to every version of Niantic's games as they've been put in the
I will get to Spoko's, what was Spoko's Witcher Monster Slayer, so I want to end this on a high note, even though that's a terrible note because it was taken down. Monster Hunter now.
Okay. What's that like?
You've played Monster Hunter.
Yes, I have. I played 3 with you guys.
It's a good time.
It was good.
It's fun.
I liked it.
Not Rise, though. But it's a good time. Sorry, I'm not getting into that argument. I freaking hate that game. But anyway, so when you're playing a Monster Hunter themed game like this, I would have normally, if Pikmin Bloom didn't happen, I probably would have had faith in this, because Pikmin Bloom was me seeing Niantic, this is Niantic again, going, you know what, maybe this is them trying to reach out and make like a real game because they feel like they are limited and constrained by the Pokemon Company, and we don't know what's going on inside of the Pokemon Company and Niantic. Like, maybe the Pokemon overlords are forcing them to make the game the way that it is and why it's so bad. Maybe this is going to be different with Pikmin.
Yeah.
And it's not. And then I see Monster Hunter going in like, oh no, my God. So this is clearly then, because it's not another Nintendo game, this is Capcom now looking at Pokemon Go and going, licking their chops, we want money. That's some delicious money. What of our IP? What do I got here? And they're looking through their chest, everything. With Street Fighter? No. Resident Evil? Nah, that wouldn't. Oh, that'd be amazing. But like, no. Okay, so Monster Hunter.
Ghosts and Goblins.
Oh my God. You take two hits and you have to start your whole game over.
Wait, that works too because it's double go. Ghosts and goblins.
Go and goblins.
Go and goblins.
Go and goblins.
Or ghosts and go.
Ghosts and go. Ghosts on the go.
Ghosts on the go.
Oh God. So anyway, Monster Hunter. The problem with Monster Hunter, just to try and get through this quickly, there's the ranking system in Monster Hunter. It kind of gates your progress. And Pokemon Go kind of did this too. You couldn't see Pokemon over your level, and if you did, it would like level down them so that you could. Instead, Monster Hunter will not allow you to see certain monsters at all, period. And instead, you will see weaker ones that you can see at your level. And then on top of that, for some reason, monsters have a star ranking level. So even though you are fighting a Great Jagras, the first monster you fight in Monster Hunter World, he starts as a 1-star. You will continuously see him. Like right now, I can fight up to 4-star monsters, and I can fight 4-star Great Jagras. The only difference being he has more health, he hits harder, and I get slightly better drop chances when I fight that one. Now, the real huge problem with this game, stuff just spawns around you.
Yeah.
And there is no tracking. There's no actual hunting a monster down. There's no real quests to try and find anything in particular. It's just like, kill X amount of large monsters, kill X amount of small monsters, gather this many times from a gathering point. You leveled up. Now you're Hunter rank 23. And it's just a very, very... It's that same habitual crap to make you feel like you're doing something when in actuality you're really not. In each of these monster fights, this is the real problem, they go down in like 10 seconds.
Well, that's a shame.
A Monster Hunter fight Goes down in like 10 seconds. So like, why would I want to hunt something now? So, and there's, I even have a solution to this one too. So you're saying like, okay, and that's just like the 1, 2, and 3 star ones can be killed extremely quickly. And this isn't me like grinding my weapon to oblivion. My weapon is not even that strong. Okay. And I'm still able to just annihilate things. And even if the fight goes for like 30 seconds, that's a matter of dodging 2 attacks. 2 attacks.
Yeah.
Why would I level up my armor if it just takes me dodging 2 times? And then even on top of that, they have this ability from Monster Hunter Generations that if you dodge something at perfect timing, you will get this infinite iframe dodge roll and perform a counter that does extra damage.
Oh, okay.
And the timing is actually off on it, by the way. It's really annoying.
Oh.
So anyway, like, even if you're going to do this, how come when I fight, say, a Rathalos, and I deplete whatever it's... If for some reason, I get it, maybe someone's on a bus and you don't want to, like, 100% take their time away from them, and you want these little micro fights. Fight the Rathalos and say that it flew away to another part of the area. And then put a ping at another location or a zone where you can try and find it. Mm-hmm. And, like, continuously do this until you can take the thing down. Let me feel like I'm actually hunting the thing. Chasing a monster down is half the fight of Monster Hunter. Monster Hunter World even introduced to avoid the paintball gimmick, try and find the footprints, find the saliva, find the fur, the traces of this thing, and try and track it down and figure out where it is. And Witcher Monster Slayer, not to get ahead of myself, did this. And Monster Hunter, like, what are you doing?
I guess the idea is that, by you walking and actually approaching it is you hunting the monster.
It just spawns there. And I take my hammer and I go bam, 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 and it's dead. 3 hits. That wasn't even, it's a 3-hit combo and it didn't even hit me.
Now, how much battery does this game consume?
Oh, it guzzles, but it's the thing, like all these games are going to do that. But it's a nothing game again. Yeah. And the thing is, of course, this is how they get you, and fans of it too. I'm like, some Monster Hunter games, to be fair, have horrible openings, and they take forever to get fun. They make you, like, deliver a bunch of mushrooms and stuff. You're like, why? I don't want to play this crap. I just want to hunt monsters. And this, it kind of does that, but it's not nearly as bad. But it just very slowly, baby steps, like, makes you, like, waste so much grindy time to get to the next level. And then when you finally do, there's like, oh, is this finally going to be an urgent that's a new monster? No, it's not.
Do you have to sharpen your weapons in this one?
No. Well, why would you? It's
yeah.
No, but of course you can pay for more potions, because if you get hit by a monster who's too strong, you got to heal your way back up. But you do have first aid meds, and it doesn't really matter. But here's something particularly scummy that showed off. This is when I knew that the game was, like, not just disappointing, but actually straight up awful.
Okay.
They had their first event was an outbreak of Diablos. Okay? This wasn't even that long ago, and I did this on live stream. I don't remember what stream I was playing.
I had to parse that in my head. I'm like, wait, they made multiple Diablo 4s? Oh my god, that's terrifying.
Diablos is in, like, the giant 2-horned... Like, he's my arch nemesis in that game. He's terrifying. So anyway, Diablos was everywhere in the desert regions, right? And it didn't matter what rank you were at in the game, you could see them. At the point I was only, like, fighting 3-star monsters, I think, and he's a 5.
Okay.
Like, it doesn't really matter, because I can kill the 3-star ones in, like, 8 hits anyway. What's the big deal? I can tank it with this thing. I got a whole minute, right?
Yeah.
A whole minute. Why can't it be 5 minutes, even? That would, like, at least make it feel like a fight.
The quit rate would be insane.
I don't know. I guess. I don't care. But anyway, so you start fighting this thing. And I'm wailing on it with my best weapon. And it's never hitting me. It's not like this is a skill game. I am dodging perfectly. I am, like, max DPSing. I know how to fight Diablos in the core game. I know his moves and I know how to dodge him.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. I am wailing on him for the entire time. And I time out. And I didn't even do a 10th of his HP.
Yeah. That tracks.
Mm-hmm. So, of course, what they want you to do is to get frustrated that you can't kill the monster, ask more people to get the game, and start playing the game, and now you still can't beat the thing when you have a group, so you all try and grind, and you level up, and you buy stuff from the store. You see this? It's just a test of frustration, like, oh no, you can't do that to me, but yes, they did. They did that because they know that you're gonna fall for it. That's what these games are. It could have been so good!
Right, because
if this game was made 10 years ago, that's the thing. Like, imagine if these mobile games came out during the mobile gaming climate we talked about at the top of this episode, when stuff like Angry Birds and Cut the Rope can happen.
Yeah.
Wouldn't they be thinking about how to make the game fun first?
Ideally, yeah.
Yeah, all these studies on how to manipulate people wouldn't have happened. And that's actually what ruined Witcher Monster Slayer. If I'm going to try and segue into that so we can finally end this monster of an episode. So, Witcher Monster Slayer, to me, one was another IP that I was like, this is perfect. This works great for this genre that's emerging, whether I like the genre or not. Yeah. I think it's a perfect one for it.
Yeah, because you love the universe of The Witcher.
Yeah, and it works great for this, too. Because, Witcher, you go on anywhere, you can do quests, you can fight monsters from the series, of which there are dozens that they could do, and there was so many. And they actually had a better system for making you feel like you were actually getting somewhere, and always encouraging you to fight certain monsters you would find, and fight new ones too. So if you found like a Bruxa for the first time, and you defeated it, you would get a skill point. So if you played Witcher 3, you have skill trees. You know what a skill tree is. You basically have skill trees, and you level this up. And then after you killed your first Bruxa, it'll say, okay, well, now kill 3. Okay, so you can kill 3 and you get another skill point. So this way it kind of balances, like, what's the common stuff and then what's the rare stuff. So the rare stuff, you would get your skill points faster, and the common stuff you'd have to kill a lot more of, and then you would eventually get your skill points. So that way, over the same course of time, fighting in at least the combat, we'll get to the combat. The combat's actually fun. You can actually level up and make your own skill tree and customize how your character plays. Yeah. Which actually matters in this. It's not like a tap the screen, which is what Monster Hunter Combat was. I didn't even say that. It is 100% a Pokemon raid battle. Tap the screen, except you still have a charge attack too. And when you use it, you have complete iframes during the entire charge attack. So you just wait for the monster to start trying to attack you, and then you push your special, and they can't do a darn thing. But anyway, in Witcher, instead, you have your sword on screen. Okay? Yep. And you actually, you craft the different swords, and you pick which sword you want to bring. You can use oils that you make and all that stuff. Like, all of it translates perfectly to this, to make it the grindy, forever kind of game. Yeah. And so you get into combat with, like, a water hag or something, and you see it's about to, slash at you. If you tap and hold, now you're guarding with your sword, and you can block the attack and take less damage. If you swipe quickly, you're dealing fast attacks. Some monsters are more susceptible to that. Some you have to deal strong, which is a slow swipe. It will change the attack based on what angle you're swinging from. It's kind of like the Fruit Ninja, but even more complicated. But you're doing real-time combat on your phone, and it is comfortable and works.
Yeah, it did.
With an IP that actually works well with this. Everything about this should have worked great. But, well, one more thing actually worked really well. Okay. That Monster Hunter should be doing, and it's not. It actually had real quests that mattered.
Oh, that's right.
And a real story. It was actually really cool. They even made new monsters for this. And, oh my gosh, some of these stories were so cool. I could probably tell a whole episode just talking about how cool Monster Slayer was, because it is gone forever, and I can't pull my phone up and even show you anything, even though I don't want to dox myself and be like, hey, by the way, this is where I live. Yeah, but still, I don't want to pull it up because the game, even if you download it right now, I found an old download for the game just hoping, maybe I can at least see what my stuff is and log in so I can show you screenshots of it. No, you can't even sign into the server to get in because they shut the server down. Yeah. Why would they do that? Well, Zach, this game wasn't making boatloads of cash like CD Projekt Red wanted. The reason being is, if you couldn't tell at the time this was coming out, a certain cyberpunk game was kind of destroying their public image and their wallets.
And I was so looking forward to that game too at first.
I know, I'm sorry about that one, but still, it was a huge blow to their company image. So they were like, money, now. What do we do for that? We copy Pokemon Go. And now, to be fair, they hired Spoko, not Niantic, to do this. And Spoko did an excellent job. The real quests you would go to would be real position places. There would be genius stuff too, say you would be able to you hunt down this person who's a translator who could take you to this gravestone. These are all real places. They'll be able to tell you it says come to this point at dusk or dawn, when the sun is at its precipice, and it's riddles and stuff. You figure out when you're supposed to go to this thing, walk down to these places all around. Sometimes you'll there's fights with a Striga where you have to set up candles around a perimeter of where a monster is.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And you actually have to go to those points on the map.
Yes, you have to go to those points, place the candles, and then you've trapped it in a pentagram, go inside, and you can finally face the beast where it's weakened.
And that's cool. That's the kind of stuff that...
Exactly. Yeah. That's taking advantage of what the medium can do and adding in the IP to allow it to synergize. And it worked really well. It did. But... they released a huge update that basically overhauled the entire game. And when I mean overhauled, I mean refund all your ability points, sell all of your equipment and give you the money that you had for it instead, and make you start over from level 1 with nothing. And they completely changed how everything works. Now, when you go into combat, even with the lowest of the low, ghoul, right? The easiest thing that you should be able to swipe, maybe block once, swipe, kill, it's dead. Now, you probably can't even kill it if you're not using oils and perfectly dodging and blocking everything.
So they nerfed you and buffed everything else.
Oh, nerf is an understatement. They
mega nerfed you.
Yeah, they mega nerfed you and they mega buffed everything else, because now they're thinking, okay, you have to go into the shop and you have to buy those oils because you need it for every single fight, which doesn't add up. You don't gather enough back in order to do it. So the entire engine was skewed way off.
That's a bloody shame.
They stopped making story quests. They were supposed to release seasons. I played the entirety of Season 1, and they said Season 2 coming at this date. Of course, that never happened. They changed up how the shop, everything was like, the prices went way up. Your ability points in your skill tree was nerfed big time. They basically meant nothing.
And if I remember correct, what you told me was around that time that update happened, I know you and Kim basically quit.
You couldn't even do the collecting thing I was telling you, where like you kill the Leshen and you get a point for it.
Yeah.
That system was gone. They actually like axed a ton of stuff out of the game and just tried to focus people into playing to try and get as much money out of them as possible.
And let me guess, and if I remember, well, yeah, that was the opposite happened of what they wanted.
Oh yeah, everyone stopped playing in droves, and this is the sad ending of this. CD Projekt Red, so disappointed with the fact that it didn't make boatloads of cash after this update, fired everyone at Spoko. And shut the game down, server gone forever. This could have worked.
Yeah, it was.
And honestly, you know what? It's not like I'm not willing to pay money for these games. If I knew that this game was going to be that good, like, let's just say, like, it let you play up to, like, level 5 or something for free, and then it's like, okay, $20 or something. I would pay $20 for that game. It was outstanding. I would be playing that constantly. But no, that's not the option, because 20 isn't enough. They know that if they... Sure, some people are going to play Pokemon Go for free indefinitely, but some other people are going to be suckered into it, and they're not going to realize that they have spent $1,000 on this game over the years.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. A lot of these free-to-play games rely on... it's still kind of weird how they refer to these people, but they rely on the money of whales. Yeah, people who don't care and will just throw thousands of dollars.
I kind of see it as, just like guzzling the krill of the whale. You know, just like swallowing it whole. I need all of it. I need every drop of it. It's for the hyperfan. The person who has to have all of it. And unfortunately, that's a psychological thing. Right. They are trying to manipulate people who have a weakness.
Right. Well, not only the super fan, but the fan who wants to be better than everyone else and be able to flaunt it. Yeah. But of course, if you're just going to cater to the whales, then everyone else who doesn't really pay into it or doesn't pay as much...
You can't beat the Dragonites in the gyms.
Right, so you get discouraged, and so you kind of stop playing, and the less of those kind of players in there...
The majority of players aren't going to keep playing if they can't even get into a gym.
And then the whales aren't going to want to keep putting money in because there's not as many people.
There's no one to oppress.
Exactly.
The whole thing just shuts down if there isn't like a perfect balance.
Right, and again... That's
or an IP that is tantalizing them to continue. And I think that's the only thing that is making these games function. It's the IP that is keeping them hanging in the balance.
You know the sad part? A lot of people still fall for it time and time and time again.
They do. Well, it's because a lot of it is psychological weaknesses that real human beings have. You know, gambling is also a huge part of this too. There's a lot of aspects of these games that are particularly scummy, but another thing that's really, really awful, in every single one of these shops, there are multiple currencies. They will do this every time to make you not understand how much you actually spending. And then when you go to the shop and scroll all the way to the bottom, it's always down there at the bottom, the real world currency to the in-game currency. When you buy those, there's always like 7 or 8 that they have studied exactly how to manipulate the most amount of money out of you. They will have pictures of like a measly little bag of like a couple coins, and then it works its way up to a huge treasure chest overflowing with coins everywhere, and it'll show you like
80% off if you get this one.
Exactly, and you're getting an extra 1,740 coins for free if you buy this one. And of course, that people are tantalized or not paying attention to how much it is, and they bought like $100 of pikmin currency. What are you going to do with that?
No, well, it's a way to obfuscate and abstract something that's already pretty abstract, money. And
it's to overly complicate it and give them like little drips of it in the game to make them have the taste and want more faster. And that's the thing. Like, I want to play my game faster because this game is too slow and it won't get a move on. And that's a problem with all of those games.
Yeah.
Except Witcher. I think Witcher, like, out the get-go, like, let you go do your fun quests, and the rest of it was, like, at your own pace.
Exactly. Like, I'd seen enough of the ads, and I know myself well enough. It's like, I know I don't want to get into something like Honkai Star Rail or, Genshin
it might even be
Impact
for the best
anything.
that the Dragon Quest game didn't come over here, because we don't know if it likely does have these tactics in them, because I can't imagine Square Enix, of all companies, wouldn't be aggressively going after that.
Yeah, exactly. So it'll just stay nice and far away from my mind.
Right, it's nice to know that it exists, but you have other games to beat.
Yeah, like Dragon Quest 9. I still have yet to beat Dragon Quest 9.
Really? Zach hasn't beaten a Dragon Quest game,
I know,
guys.
for shame.
Anyway, this was a huge episode, and I had a feeling, but I had to rant about these because this is, especially with Monster Hunter now being the recent one, and seeing it's a pattern now, because just seeing the first two, Witcher was the exception, seeing like, okay, that was great, but look what happened to it. It got shut down because, of course, what they want is the scummy Pokemon Go thing. And Pikmin Bloom, they have even said they're disappointed in its sales.
Yeah.
Because, well, there was just a core problem with the game itself. You're not even allowed to, like, plant any freaking flowers or whatever. Like, don't tell me like, the objective of the game is something that is impossible. Just don't do that. Like, sure, make it, like, barely achievable. I don't care about that. Like, Pokemon Go, collect the whole Pokedex. Barely achievable. Like, what, 5 people ever have done that? Who knows? But, sure, but people still want to play and do it. Cover the world in flowers? I'm sorry, they're going to reset in 7 days. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, that's the terrible part.
Yeah, so that's impossible. So, and I can already see, just from what I've played with Monster Hunter now, I wanted to play far enough so that I could at least confirm, yeah, this is just as bad. It's not worth your time. And it's a shame because I feel like now that there is a pattern of this structure, they're going to keep following this. All the other companies are going to keep jumping on board. We're going to keep seeing more of these games. We're going to get more updates to Pokemon Go and the others that are not going to fix the core game or make them go back closer to what their IP is intending to be, what the core philosophy of the design is. Instead, it's just going to be, how much more can we get out of them?
Like, what would you say would be the big takeaway from all this?
Don't start.
Okay.
Don't even start. I know it's tantalizing. I know you may love the IP of Monster Hunter, or the concept of walking around in the overworld in real life and going on walks and catching Pokemon. And of course, by this point, you've more than likely already started Pokemon Go. I mean, most people have. That's why it's so successful. For the new ones, at least, don't start them. The reason that they are successful is because they are preying on, as we've mentioned multiple times, your habits and your psychological tendencies, whether you're aware of it or not. They study these things. They have experts to study how to manipulate people without them realizing it. And the number one thing they need is a curtain to draw over the bad stuff, and that curtain is the IP you love. The IP you love, if that's what's drawing you in, don't go in.
Yeah.
Don't do it. You have to 100% love this for what the core game is. I personally have some serious grievances with it, but like I said, it's still possible that you can make something good, which your Monster Slayer did. So it's not like it's not possible, but at this point, it's very clear that these companies are only doing this because they can maximize profits and manipulate you.
Yeah, like, I always like to look at the bright side of a lot of things, and there are
I know, I want to end these on happy notes, too, but I was like, Witcher Monster Slayer happened, and I want that to be the happy ending of this. But it didn't make boatloads of cash after an update that ruined absolutely everything, so they took it offline and fired everybody. The end. Goodbye, guys.
Well, I was going to say, how does the song go? Only the good die young.
Well, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah,
and that's why Pokemon Go's still here.
Well, you know what, too? That's also fitting for a Witcher story. The good guy doesn't win.
Yeah, the good. Well, or there was no good option.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and man, the stories were actually really well done in that too. I wish, there's probably a wiki somewhere that I can research it and maybe do a whole video talking about it, because one of the greatest fears I have in gaming is that some game that I cherish is going to erode from my memory, as things do. Yeah. I make perlers and I make video game reviews of stuff so that it is permanently somewhere. And I can see this all the time. I can turn around and I see Link from Link to the Past up there every day in my room, and I know that game is permanently in my memory. I make a video about all of these games, and I want to talk about all of it and catalog it so that it doesn't go anywhere.
Right.
Witcher Monster Slayer is a game I loved, and in 30 years, I won't be able to tell you anything about it.
Nope.
I would never be able to make this episode right now because I couldn't even go back and research it and watch, a review I made of it because I can't film anything for this. The game is gone. It's not like you can download it or even emulate it. What would you do? The game is gone forever. It is not possible for you to play it.
I couldn't tell you, bud.
So, like, say you start playing the rest of the Witcher games and you like fall in love with it, right? Which is very likely. But
I just got such a backlog.
I know, we all do. Say that happens and you're like, man, I would love to play Witcher Monster Slayer. Yeah. Can I even emulate the game? And even if we get to the point where that's possible, fans would have to be running a custom server to even have it function. And then would they even have it powerful enough to work globally so you could do it while you emulate it on what? A laptop?
Yeah, basically. That'd be the only other way to be able to do it.
With roaming Wi-Fi from your cell phone. That would be insane.
Well, see, then you would just have to basically rebuild the architecture of how the game works from the ground up in order to be able to do that.
And you would have to do it on an old update of the game, because you can't be playing it on whatever the most recent version is, which is going to be the version that people can actually access and download. So the game, in a very, very short span of time, has actually been erased from history. Yeah, this isn't like, I can still play an NES game.
Yeah, and
it's not gone forever.
Like, it's not the same as like private servers for a lot of MMOs, like World of Warcraft, or even for me going back to playing Phantasy Star Online. You're basically having to take something from a different platform entirely and reworking the whole thing if you wanted to even get it to run on anything else.
Right, yeah, and I could do the same for Monster Hunter Freedom Unite. Like, I could stream that with my fans right now if I wanted to, online by emulating the game, and that's amazing. But the thing is, that's not even close to what these games are that we're talking about today. This is the entire world GPS that needs to live be updated so everyone shares the same content. It's impossible to do for a small, one-time person, which is a server running in their basement, where you can run Phantasy Star Online or run Monster Hunter Freedom Unite.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not possible. It's actually gone forever. And what's scary to me, one, that this was a game I really loved, but now we're at the era where we're finally going to start seeing games gone from history forever.
We're seeing that already.
I know, that's what I'm saying. This is the first one that, this was a game that I really loved and I wanted to go back and do. It's not like, of course I can't go play a Commodore 64 game, but, at least there's, that's physical hardware and you could sort of emulate the software and get it to function, but... There's we've talked about emulation and problems where, like, Ape Escape, you need a particular controller and emulation freaks out and it says, oh, you're not doing the dual analog for the PlayStation controller, I'm not going to function. This is erased, permanently gone, and I know I keep saying it, but what do I do? I'm trying to end this correctly, and I can't because it is such a disgusting topic.
Cherish the memory in your heart.
It's eroding! My memory is terrible! That's why I make game reviews!
Right. You couldn't even remember that you had watched Princess Mononoke at one point.
I did?
Yeah, you have. This guy right here.
I'm telling you, I can't. Please.
I get it.
I hope at the very least that people are enjoying Monster Hunter now and aren't falling prey to its tactics that it's clearly designed for and to take advantage of.
Yeah.
I know that it's going to get far more people than it won't. And even if it just gets a few, the thing is they make these games on purpose, like we mentioned, to get the whales. If you get a whale and a whale spends 1,000, who cares if 100 people, 1 out of 100 paid nothing?
Yeah, exactly.
Or I'm sorry, 99 out of 100 paid nothing and the one was a whale who paid 1,000. You made your money.
Yeah, it's like the people who put in $1 here or $5 if they feel generous.
Yeah, those are the kind of the average people that they're expecting to slowly rake in the cash.
Yeah, but
and it's the whales who are keeping this afloat, and they're the ones who are kind of perpetuating this whole state. So, don't be a whale.
Use your money for something else. Go to space. We're gonna be able to go to space in freaking shuttle buses at some point.
I would so do that.
Yeah. Hey, we got William Shatner and Daddy Bezos up in space at one point. it's like Virgin is going to be giving us space rides soon as a commercial vacation. Do that. Save your money for that.
Yeah, as soon as Shatner gets off of it, because I wouldn't want him involved. I want that shuttle to blow up.
My God, Alex, have you seen the stars up in the sky? It's beautiful.
Star Trek is great. Anyway, no. Hey, guys, you know what? Here's a happy ending to this. Star Trek is great. Have you seen Star Trek?
Up to a certain point.
Star Trek is great. Up to a certain... Okay, I've only seen the original show. So and I saw like 10 episodes with Picard, and that was it. I saw everything with Captain Kirk is what I watched.
Okay.
Because then my Hulu subscription ran out.
Oh, that's right. Next Generation's good. I will go to bat for Deep Space Nine, and Voyager's okay. A lot of the more modern stuff, I just look at it and I go, Paramount, you don't have any ideas.
No, they have no idea what they're doing. I'm aware of that. But okay, let me specify then. Watch the old Star Trek. It's really cool. Yeah. Anyway, thank you guys for tuning into this extremely long episode of HitBox. If you enjoy the show, you can help us keep it alive by supporting us on Patreon with the links in the show notes. And stop laughing at me in this video's description. For those of you on YouTube, remember to like the video and subscribe for more. And be sure to let us know what you thought of the show and other topics you would like to hear us cover in the future. And special thanks to all of our amazing Patreon members. See ya.
See ya. Live long and prosper, and may the force be with you.